Another set of Nigerians fleeing the crisis in Ukraine have been successfully evacuated by the Nigerian government. The 306 Nigerians arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport this morning. This brings the total number of Nigerians returning to the country to 1,149. The returnees, mostly students studying in Ukraine, were repatriated from neighboring European countries, Romania, Poland, and Hungary, which have served as safe point for their departure. This is coming a few days after President Muhammadu Buhari approved the sum of $8.5 million to facilitate the immediate evacuation for at least 5,000 Nigerians. Now, this has caused mixed reactions as many are wondering where that money came out from. We'll talk about this and certainly talk about the humanitarian issues around all of that. I have with me the Executive Director, Health Emergency Initiative, Pascal Achunine, here with me. Pascal, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Yes. Now, the prior to this evacuation process, a lot of Nigerians had criticized the government for not being proactive enough and all of that. But the reports we got from the ministry, of course, a lot of things needed to be looked at, the logistics of it and the safety, what security is involved in here, and also trying to reach out to the embassies and also reaching out to the ambassadors of those countries and so on. But looking at it from the humanitarian perspective, you're bringing people and then bringing them back. What are you seeing when it comes to getting Nigerians back home? A lot of people have said so many things, details of the hardship they went through.
I think the way to start is to acknowledge that some efforts or measures have been taken by the government in the first place. It may not be too timely. It was not actually very timely because when we saw the build-up of forces around Ukraine and the exchange of threats from both parties, from different parties, especially the West and Russia. So it should necessitate a proactive measure, realizing that we have over 12,000 Nigerians studying there. But it does not, the worst case scenario is not to do anything. So we acknowledge that some efforts have been put in place. Is it enough? Does it bring enough relief? Does this even call our attention to the root cause of why Nigerians migrated in the first place? Why did these young Nigerians leave their motherland, their fatherland, and relocate to go to Ukraine to study? It was because they don't see hope. And you can also see it in the way and manner some of them say, some have insisted that they don't want to come back. That is riskier here than in a place where bombs and missiles are being thrown. Again, also put it side by side with the anguish, the agony many have passed. Some worked as much as 24 hours to get to the other countries like Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, and Poland, and Romania, and all that, to at least have access to a place that is fairly safe. And many of them also face racist treatment according to feedback. Some were pushed out of the train, some were not allowed to get access, some never slept for 36 hours, didn't feed. And of course, this is also a very harsh environment. It's not like our warm weather where even if you don't, it's worse when you don't have anything to warm yourself, you're not under the heater and all that in such countries. So these young people went through anguish. But to tell you that we have critical issues here, if somebody went through all that in one of the cities that has been captured or under Russian control currently, there were Nigerians who said they don't want to come back. So that means that we need to begin recalibrating this system. And recalibrating is not rhetoric. It's not also ad hoc because there's a crisis in Ukraine, so we are evacuating our people. What can we do to rekindle the hope of the youths again, to believe in this country? There were hopes, dreams many of us had in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 90s about this country, especially when the democracy came back. So what can we do? Because it also shows that however we travel any part of the world, there's still a sense of nostalgia that this is our home.
Exactly. Home still remains
home. Home still beckons. And we must I have pointed it out, especially on this platform, that it is a broad coalition we need to put in place. Government needs to be involved. Social sector needs to be involved. Private sector needs to be involved. But government must lead from the front. Yeah. And if we have been comfortable that our quick response to this is, okay, I'm wealthy, I'm a politician, I'm an LGA chairman, I'm a minister, I'm a governor, I send my children abroad, it does not solve the problem. We are sidestepping it. So we must take some lessons from this. One, ensure that the lives of Nigerians cares. Some comments are pointing to the fact that government was tardy, did not respond timely. So when we see such signals anywhere else, right now there have been pointers that in South Africa, nationalist feelings are coming again in ways that could be violent to foreigners. Are we proactively engaging so it doesn't get to loss of lives
exactly. Because we've had the experiences of xenophobia in parts of Southern Africa before. Now, at a time like this where there is evacuation, because countries are evacuating their nationals, not just Nigeria. Most of the African countries are proactive in this. There are other countries across the world who are sending in, planes to pick their citizens in the midst of COVID-19. If you look at it critically, one would say, in fact, there was a joke sometime I said that it seems this Ukraine-Russia issue has wiped out COVID-19. Nobody's died from COVID-19 anymore. It was a joke anyway. But the reality is that we still have COVID-19. How would this complicate the situation, though?
I expect that there will be synergy between the ministries or agencies involved, from Minister of Health to NCDC and others, that okay, even as we are expressing compassion or extending this humanitarian gesture to Nigerians who are returning, that this full ABCD protocol need to be put in place to just double check that okay, nobody is coming in here with or we're not going to have a sudden spike as it were. So what I have read so far, what I have seen so far does not suggest that there has been a meticulous measure towards that. Because if you look at here, the infectious rate, like you showed from the report, was just 27 or so. So significant, there was no death. Significantly, we have seen virtual disappearance or reductions of COVID.
Yes, reduction.
Yes. So, but on the other hand, the body language of not just Nigerians, but in other parts of the world. So since the Ukraine crisis began, this points to little attention being paid to COVID. And even in UK and other places, they have opened up their spaces for people to eventually return to their normal lives. And that's not because there's 100% level of vaccination. So I think it is to be helpful and good for the government to proactively put measures in place that, okay, even as we have 1,000+, let's also do contact, let's also, even if we are not going to the depth of contact tracing, but okay, these are steps to ensure that at the airport, before you start mingling with the rest of Nigerians, these are steps that must be taken. Since also government is going the extra mile of giving $100. So at least one of the things that shows that before you take that $100 or any other support the government is offering, even that is you have taken this safe and follow the protocol. I think it's very important. And I still think that one of the things that make many Nigerians indifferent when it comes to things that come from government is walking the talk. So if we see that 3,200 or thereabout died of COVID, and we see that Nigerians' lives are being we are facing storms from different angles. The answer to all of this is good governance. If people see that you have their interests at heart, they will go any length. They will believe you. And we all cannot relocate to Ukraine. We all cannot relocate to Canada. We have to fix this country.
Yeah. And in fact, the point there is, let other people relocate from where they are to Nigeria. That's what we're even saying. The issue
Nigerians or other nationals.
Other nationals. People in other countries, let them aspire to go to Nigeria.
Okay, so that's the destination.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the country we want
of course,
to build. Yes.
Of course, because the point there is everybody wants to go to the US, everybody wants to go to Canada or something, or the UK. We have had instances before where there are people from other African countries, Europe and Asia, who want to go to Nigeria. Nigeria was a thing that time. So we just hope that we'll return that glory days again.
Absolutely. And I just want to make this remark. I realize that there are still good-hearted Nigerians who want to feed the country. In my work in Health Emergency Initiative, for about 7 years, I've seen people who are, once they see that you're credible, people put resources, use this to take care of the poor, the indigent patients, accident victims, and they see that we send reports. They know, oh, this system is transparent. They put their money for 7 years, including widows, such that we had to institute a program called Project 1 Million that gives room for 1 million people to give 1,000 naira every month to save the lives of accident victims and indigent patients. So Nigerians are still a great people to lead if the good leader emerges.
I totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Pascal Achinine, the Executive Director, Health Emergency Initiative. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Have a very beautiful week.
And you too.